The reason why I decided to go on a little short backpacking trip was because I've just been feeling very stressful lately. I've felt like I can't breathe. Like I can't breathe deep, like I'm all clenched up and I feel sick to my stomach and like my stomach's all kind of tight. And like I tried running and that seemed to feel pretty good. And then I ran like 3 mornings in a row. I only go like maybe a couple of miles. And then after that, I just felt so exhausted and I would fall asleep during the day and fall asleep like at 6:30 at night. So I don't know if I'm just too old to do that every day. So I started doing it less. And so then I felt like I had more energy again. And that's when I decided it's a holiday weekend. Maybe I can figure out a way to take a little holiday. And my job just feels so stressful, and the pandemic, it's like haven't left my house for a year almost, and you don't see any other people and you don't do anything that you used to do, and then the whole thing with the on January 6th was stressful. And then I don't know, Tony has a liking for really violent shows, even though they're really good, and I don't hate watching them. Sometimes they're just too gruesome, and so I'll hide. I don't know. I just feel like a wreck. I just feel like I have no future. My job is really stressful. I tried really hard not to become my coworker's QA lady, and instead I became my coworker's former old fuddy-duddy who's in the way, and I can't seem to figure out how not to be that and how to just be myself. And meanwhile, my job is all like turning into this assembly line, this relentless assembly line of just cranking out more crappy code. And I just miss, I don't know, I had a feeling when I still went into the office of being a part of a team and having respect among my peers, and I don't feel like I have that anymore. I don't have any peers. I just have myself alone and little squares of people on Zoom to look at. It's very unsatisfying. So I wish Tony could have come with me, but I felt like if I could just run away for a day or two, maybe I would be able to sleep better, and maybe some of this stress would go away. So today is mental health day from work, and tomorrow is a holiday. So I wonder if my dinner's ready yet. I brought this book, Thirst by Heather Anish Anderson. I've read it already once before. She hiked the fastest known time of the Pacific Crest Trail. She did it in 60 days or 62 days or something. And it's a really good book. She's a really good writer. It's exciting. You think, oh my God, I could never do any of this. But she says things in there that I totally identify with. She says that she's flying in her plane and she's thinking to herself, well, there's nothing to do but walk. That's how I feel today. And then she says the half decade, she had hiked the PCT, AT, and the CDT before. And she said it had been a long time, but my body had not forgotten the rhythm of the day in, day out of crossing the country on foot. The half decade I'd spent trying to conform to society was a charade. Hiking was my reality. Walking into the desert alone felt like waking up from a long nightmare. With each step, I felt closer not only to my home in Washington, but also to my true self. And she also in here worries about being 30 and how in her early 20s she was so full of energy, but now she's 30 and she's anemic and her knee hurts, and it's like, oh my God, try being over 55. Anyway, yeah, that's how I feel. Hiking, I don't know if it's my true self, but it's one of my true selves, and trying to conform to society is always a charade for me. So here I am. I'm totally not wanting to get out of all my cocoon of down and go hiking. My feet kind of hurt a little bit, so I'm lingering over my coffee and reading my book. Yeah, so I was listening to this backpacker radio show from kind of a while ago, and I was listening to it a while ago. And it was all about the post-trail depression that people get. And so I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail in 2008 and 9. In 2008, I got 800 miles up the trail, and then I was too scared of all the creek crossings, so I bailed out Bishop Pass, and I rented a truck and drove home. And I was at Trader Joe's, and I was just shocked at how 1 minute, I'm Piper, and then the next minute I'm not Piper anymore. Who am I? I'm like nobody. I'm just a regular person. And it was kind of shocking. But Tony drove me back to the trail, and I did several hundred more miles, and then my feet hurt a lot, and so I quit at Castella, Dunsmuir. I walked up to Dunsmuir, and I took a train home. And again, it was like, what a shock. The minute you get on the train, you're not Piper anymore. You're just Diane. Boring. And so then I spent a year trying to figure out what I should do next, and I decided what I should do next with the help of my neighbor. I decided that I would go back to the trail. So I went back to the trail, and it was weird because at first I was like, oh, no, not like I'm standing in line at the post office, and I smell bad, and I'm trying to get my resupply, and I'm thinking, oh, not this again. I don't want to be this again. But after a while, I got into trail life, and I felt so happy and free, and it felt like me. And I have a feeling when I'm out there, like like I'm the richest woman in the world. I'm being paid in wildflowers and beautiful scenery, and all this other stuff that we do in life really doesn't matter. What matters is nature and water and everything. And I just felt so happy, and I was Piper again. So yeah, and then at the end of the trail, it's like immediately I see this guy hitchhiking, trying to get home, and it's like, we're not hikers anymore. We're not going to talk to each other. He's just going to go home. I'm just going to go home. That's the end. And it's so sad. And she's so right about this idea. She said, a lot of people think of it as like a depression, but what it really is grief. And that's true. It's grief. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately with the pandemic and getting older and everything. Yeah, so I didn't even graduate from college until I was 30. I had taken like a 4-year break between junior college and regular college, and I took 4 years to get through junior college, and I didn't like the jobs I got, and I didn't like how poor I was, so I went back to college. So I got a late start on being able to save money for my retirement, but I've saved it the whole entire time that I've worked. I mean, I started out saving, the bare minimum that I could get the company matching, but over time I pretty quickly started saving like 20% and 30% of my pre-tax income. And I've been underpaid at the jobs that I've had that should have paid tens and tens of thousands, 20,000, 30,000 a year more than I was making. So I
been kind of disadvantaged recently. They brought me up to parity with what they paid other men in the industry in where I work, which is still less than what they pay in private industry. So even though I'm saving, 35% of my salary, I have barely any money saved up. And I'm in a relationship with somebody 15 years older than me who's already retired, and I'm watching him like not being able to hike anymore. It's heart issues, and I don't know, maybe he just doesn't like hiking with me anymore. Maybe he's fine, because he does go hiking still. He just doesn't want to go backpacking. And so I come out here alone, or I hike with my 3 amigas. The 3 amigos go hiking. That's a lot of fun. So, I think about these things. I think about, what's my future going to be? After I finished hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, I thought, well, way before I started hiking the trail, I had read in the LA Times about this lady who was 66 years old, and she lived on the trail with her goat. And she'd hike the trail all the time with her goat. And she just said, once I've started hiking, I realized that this was the life for me, and I just left everything and I live with my goat in my little RV during the winter in the desert, and then I go hiking all summer long. And I thought, that's what I'm going to be. And so I've been saving up to be that ever since. But now every time I go hiking, my feet they are the weak link. They hurt so much. And I sit here alone in my office working all the time during this pandemic. You don't see any other people, and you just feel yourself getting more and more out of shape. Like, I try to go walking and running and stuff, but it doesn't really work. And I just feel myself getting older and no closer to my dreams. And it feels like, Piper's is dying. And I may never get to have what I've worked so hard for. And it makes me very sad. So I don't know, I'm out here trying to live the dream, and I'm in pain every second because of my feet. And yeah, it's a loss. It's a grief, and I don't want to let go. I'm in the bargaining phase. Maybe I can still get back in shape. Maybe I can still toughen up my feet. I don't know. But yeah, I'm out here just thinking about these things. So I guess the worst part of this recent coup attempt was that it almost succeeded. And if it hadn't succeeded, well, I don't think it's the last coup attempt. I think so that was the autocratic attempt. And the next time there'll be autocratic breakthrough, and then that'll be it. And if you've spent your whole life saving money in a system where, to some extent, things are run by law, and and that people obey laws, and that there's a certain amount of regularity about that, you can put money into your savings with some amount of security, knowing that someday you'll get it out. But as we've seen, and some of these TV shows that Tony likes to watch shows you, there's a lot of really terribly corrupt people in this country, and their system is different. They make lots of money by stealing it and unfairly redistributing it, and I won't be on the receiving end of that. I've spent my whole life being a good girl, doing everything right, the way I was told to do things right. Get good grades, go to school, go to college, get a job, save your money, be a good person, don't break the law. But I'm not winning. And that thing that they had the other day with that GameStop stock, it was all a big scam. And they're like, how dare you regular people treat the stock market like a casino? Well, it is a casino, and that's where all my money is. And I feel like any minute now, everything I worked for could just be gone. And I don't have much say in it. And what am I doing all this working for? What do I get for my efforts? I get stuck in a room, in a pandemic, in a world that's completely broken. Nobody's gonna help. Nobody's gonna make it right. I'm just gonna somehow stagger off to the next blow, whatever it is, whatever way they find to steal everything again. And it just frustrates the hell out of me and makes me wonder, why not just walk away from it all? Why not just go hiking all the time? That's where real life is. That's where real me is. That's where Piper is. That's where I have fun. That's where I have friends. This other world is not real. It's not happy. It doesn't make people healthy. It's terrible. So these are the things I'm thinking about.